Hi, my name is Max, and I'm one of the lawyers at Patel Nand Legal. So the topic that I've been asked today to talk about is about settlement for first home buyers. And settlement is a really important time for everyone because that's a time when the buyers pay the rest of the money to the sellers, and the sellers pass on the title or ownership of the property to the buyers. And it's a fairly important event and one that you'll need to carefully prepare for. So we've put together a series of commonly asked questions that we get from our clients, and I thought I'll present them and hopefully address some of your queries as well. So the first question is, I already have a pre-approval, what else do I need to do after the agreement's gone unconditional? Well, you need to talk to your broker, because once the agreement's gone unconditional, your broker will need to prepare the loan documents, and they'll need to work closely with the bank for that. Now, after the agreement's gone unconditional, really the first person you need to speak to is actually your broker. Just finalize things like the interest rate, fixed terms with them, and get them to issue those loan documents right away. The next question, I need my KiwiSaver. Will this automatically be done when the loan documents are drafted up? No, it won't. The responsibility for the KiwiSaver is actually on lawyers. So if you are relying on your KiwiSaver, you need to let your lawyers know as soon as possible, ideally after the agreement's gone unconditional. And it generally takes us lawyers about 14 days to be able to organize for that KiwiSaver balance that you've got with your KiwiSaver provider to be withdrawn and given into our trust account. So don't approach them 1 week before settlement, because there's a fairly good chance that your KiwiSaver provider may not have the funds ready to your lawyers before then. Next question, what do I need to do before settlement? So there are generally two things you need to do before settlement. The first one is the settlement amounts, and the second one is pre-inspections. Settlement amounts talks about the amounts that you're not going to be borrowing from your bank. So you need to have that amount ready, and maybe a little bit extra as well, because there are some adjustments that are made on settlement for things like council rates, water rates, and if you're buying a unit, body corporate levies. If you are concerned about what those amounts might be, speak to your lawyer about it. Because he might be able to help, or he or she might be able to help you out about those amounts and hopefully be able to prepare you for settlement. Now, the second thing is pre-inspections. Now, if you've done your due diligence right before you bought the property, you would have made a sort of a due diligence checklist to make sure that every nook and cranny of the property is accounted for. So if things were working at the time that you signed the agreement, and if they're no longer working at the time of the pre-inspection, then technically you're entitled to claim that from the vendor in some circumstances. So things to watch out for is things, for example, like if there's a hole in the wall, if there's any broken windows, and they weren't there at the time that you bought the property, at the time that you signed the agreement, then speak to your lawyer right away, because he may be able to advise you about raising a claim with the seller. Now, the next question, what do I do when I move in, and when should I move in? Now, this is a little bit optional, but what we generally advise our clients is don't move in on the settlement day itself, because that can cause a lot of anxiety for you. While the settlement date is relatively fixed, the settlement time isn't. A lot of settlements can happen in the morning, a lot of them can happen in midday, a lot of them can happen in the afternoon as well. And that depends on a number of different factors. So my suggestion is leave the settlement day itself for you to be able to concentrate on a transaction of buying the property, and move in a day or two after. At the end of the day, every transaction is different. We advise all of our clients to work with their team closely. So if you have appointed a broker, then work with your broker very, very closely to make sure that the terms of the loan are exactly as you'd like it. And whoever lawyer that you engage, work with them closely to make sure that every detail is worked out, because it will be those small details that will ultimately, if you give thought to it and careful attention to it, will ultimately make the transaction as stress-free as possible. Thank you.